Goats are pretty wasteful with their hay and their food, and so we want to turn their waste into something valuable. And that's, again, like I've shown you on the other videos, how we're managing the hay that they spill. So I'll throw a bale in to a spot where there hasn't been a lot of activity, and they'll pick on it a little bit while I come through and take the dry hay off and use it as bedding. But in this case, it's rained recently, so all of this hay is wet. You'll notice that this hay has been kicked up and stirred by the chickens. So the chickens are given an opportunity to scratch in the hay. And then once it's up loose like this, I can either mound it into a compost pile that the chickens will pull out. But since goats, we don't want them eating off the ground, and we don't want them interacting a lot with their manures in case there's worms, what I'll do instead is I'll spread the materials out to cover as much area as possible. So I'll take the wasted grass and the grass that's been rained on, and I will throw it over top of stuff to get it up off the ground, throw some chicken scratch in it, let the chickens scratch it out. Or I will start spreading it out towards the fence line. This does two things. Number one, it allows the grass to dry out a little bit. Maybe it gets a second chance as fodder, or maybe it gets a second chance as a moisture absorbent. And number two is it starts giving us layers of different kinds of organic material on the ground, which will allow us to start producing some kind of soil. So right under here, you'll see there's a lot of wood mulch going down 6 to 8 inches. And we want to have that carbonous diaper, as Joel Salatin describes it. We want to have that absorbing materials, but as we're picking out these bigger pieces, we want to fill it in with something else. And with what we're filling it in is with the old bedding materials. And so the old bedding materials become part of that blanket, part of that composting cycle, part of that season of absorption. And you can see where goats have peed on it and they've bleached it. But over time, it avoids the problem of these bare spots. See, the chickens are going to scratch out bare spots. We want to have as much material spread out as possible so that we can get to a point where we can then plant grass. So even this is a little bit thick with straw on it. But if we keep raking it out, we're going to end up with a situation where we're going to possibly have a bed here. So I can come in with a fence to exclude the chickens, and I can put up a fence and start a garden bed here. Now I'm growing in wood chips, and it would be helpful to grow in more and more of the bedding that the goats have in their areas. But that bedding goes out into a bulk biomass growth. And then these beds where I know the goats are healthy and such can become little garden beds or little growth areas in here. And then over time, as we're rotating, we have new bulk materials. The hay, the wasted hay, could be 50% of a bale, unfortunately. But then with the seed attached to that, we start transforming that as it decomposes into small plants and other things the goats can eat. So we're managing this by turning the waste into mulch, and then the mulch into bulky plants, corn, okra, peas, different things that the goats can eat. And then we're conserving the space rather than having to keep hauling in more materials. It would be a luxury to keep being able to haul in more wood chips, but all we have left is the wood chips that remained from the forest mulching. And so if we manage it this way, as we've done in other chop and drop garden beds or the grass-fed garden that we talked about before, we're actually preparing a garden bed and a growing space rather than just having a corral. Now, eventually the animals will be out of this corral, but we don't have fences built up. Part of our off-grid goat system is kind of going as small phases into your goat system. So here, if we're growing inside this space, we're excluding some predators or some creatures that could be eating the garden area, but we're also creating foods that the goats can eat. And so we're getting more from the garden area. I'm Justin Hitt with Prosperity Homestead. If you want to learn more about how this works, visit us at www.prosperityhomestead.org, where you can ask your questions on the contact page or join our free newsletter. Otherwise, we're here to help you get your homestead up and running in 12 months or less. Leave your comments below. Be sure to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.